What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down what's happening with the market moving forward. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $1,000 and you're guaranteed 15 in total. And the offer ends very soon, just a couple of weeks. Anyways, for the market, let's talk about what's happening so far. So stocks like NIO saw a little bit of weakness. We hit this resistance, at 5.6. We weren't able to break through this, forming a bearish divergence. And instead of trying to hold this to remain bullish, we saw a little rejection. So NIO is tipping a little bit. We now have this critical support at 5.23 or 20 EMA. If that breaks, there's going to be a dip coming all the way back down to $5. Now, that's completely fine considering how much we're up. We just saw back-to-back 10%, 15% days. NIO was in the threes, now it's back in the fives, so it's still up quite a bit. So seeing a bit of a pullback is completely normal. It's not really anything that surprises me or scares me. Now, when it comes to data involving the markets, I just want to say that we had PPI data come out. PPI month over month was at 0.2%, very close to expectations, a little bit above the consensus in the forecast, but not too bad. Core PPI month over month was 0.3%, close to expectations, a little bit above it, but not too bad. And then core PPI year over year was at 2.4%, aligned with expectations. And then PPI for all items year over year right here was at 1.7%. That's also, once again, aligned with expectations. So pretty good data, kind of mixed. The market started off with a bit of a dip only to get bought back up. Then we saw another squeeze at the end of the day for the broader markets. But NIO, of all things, showed a little bit of weakness because we weren't able to break past the resistance. So for tomorrow, it's going to be Friday, the 13th of September. There's not really much coming out for the first 30 minutes of the day. We have at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 30 minutes after market open, the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report, the 5-year inflationary expectations report, and data like that. And that's pretty much it for our data. There's not really anything else coming out. One thing worth mentioning, though, is that we have a lot of puts expiring for SPY. We have about a little bit over 200 or 300,000 calls expiring for SPY. And we have over 1.1 million puts expiring. So we have a 3.59 puts to call ratio. The majority of positions are in puts, with max pain being at 547. This could be part of why the market's pumping. They're trying to squeeze those shorts. So we'll see how things go from here. For other factors out there, we also have fear making up the majority of sentiment right now. I think we should be closer to neutral, and I think very soon the market will be looking for a little bit of a pivot there. Besides that, I just want to mention that as far as NIO goes, there's some talk about their driving capabilities and their energy storage ideas moving forward. So I've seen a lot of news about that. Besides that, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy. JP Morgan is giving NIO an overweight rating, saying they're bullish on the stock. Bank of America Securities, however, is neutral. The price price ratio is looking a little bit more bullish right now as NIO has gained some strength for the last couple of days. But as of today, it's now starting to flatten as NIO is once again showing signs of stagnating. On top of this, Fridays tend to be green only about 53% of the time. We tend to see more volatility around 1 p.m. and also during the second to last hour of the day. The last thing I was mentioning is the fact that volume is at about 70 million, well above average. So we're dropping on high volume right now, so it's not the best of signs. As far as NIO goes, we have this very, very key resistance at 5.6. We have the support to watch for at this 5.23 area. If that fails us, we'll be tipping all the way down to about the $5 range. Overall, with this big red bar forming, there is a sign that this could rebound a bit and start dipping. If we lose 5.23, I think we might end up losing this in the morning to retest closer to $5 before we try to rebound. I anticipate we might dip a little bit more looking at the big red bar. Now, for other factors out there, if we look at SPY, SPY is looking more bullish, forming a nice cup-like structure, nice accumulation. We do have this tough resistance at 559, and the reason I call that out is because when you look at the 30 minutes time frame like this, we have a tough resistance right here. So very close to 560. This range right here is going to be our tough resistance. In my personal opinion, I think that we'll be watching. We'll be watching to see if this breaks. If we break 560, we're looking for a push all the way up towards 562. And if we don't break that, we could be dipping. I think tomorrow the market might actually gap down. We might be retesting this 20 EMA tomorrow. We could retest the 556 area for a little bit of a dip, then we could get bought back up, and then we might continue to consolidate around this area and then try to bounce. But like I said before, I think the same thing is going to happen as it happened today. We look very bullish on the daily, but we might start off with a little bit of a dip tomorrow morning to cool off for a bit before we continue higher. I think SPY will eventually get up to that 560 target. So let's look for a little bit of a dip and a bounce as the most likely case. ES has the same thing going on. We have this support at about 55.80 and resistance at 5600. The daily looks more bullish. We could dip a little bit, then continue to push up higher for that 5620 area. For Nvda looks more bullish on the daily. We could dip down to about 118, then start bouncing, starting to push up to about 122, but we still look more bullish. Look for a little bit of a retest around this 118 area, and if that does not hold, we could go down to about the 115s, but then we should bounce between 118 and 115 and start pushing into the 120s. We still have potential to do so. Bitcoin's holding up nicely. If we hold above our 20 EMA, we're looking for a push for 59,000. If we lose 56,900, we could be dipping, but I do favor upside a little bit more. For others out there, we have Tesla. Tesla looks a little bit more bullish on the daily. We did a good job at closing, but this 230 area has been kind of tough for it. We still look bullish as we're uptrending, at least for the shorter term. It is possible we dip a little bit to retest our 228 support, not to mention 225. We could dip just a little bit before we try to continue to push again, but we still look bullish on the daily. We'll see if we can try to break past 230. If we do break that, we could be going towards the target of 235, which is another very, very tough resistance, which stopped Tesla many, many times. But for tomorrow, look for a gap to maybe a little bit of a dip before we continue higher. That is the most likely case I'm going to be looking out for. For NQ, this looks more bullish. If we break 19,500, we're going to continue to pump. I was talking about how it might dip a little bit before it tries to continue to push. That's what happened so far. We could dip a little bit more. We could retest the 19,350 area tomorrow, and then we could bounce off that. If we continue to push, we're looking for 19,500 plus. For the QQQ, we got a nice push up to about 474. It is possible we dip a bit to about the 472 area, maybe a little bit lower, then try to bounce, start pushing up higher for 475 plus. For Apple's completely range bound. We have the support around 221, not to mention 219. If we bounce and try to break, we're going to be looking for a break past 224 to push up for 225 plus. There is a nice bullish divergence forming. We could try to push higher if we manage to break above 222.5. We could dip first and try to bounce, so we'll see if that ends up being the case. For the IWM, we look very bullish on the 4-hour time frame. We have this support to watch for at 210. It's possible it dips just a little bit to retest this zone before it continues to break out. I think this will eventually make its way up to about 214, but we need to break 212 first. It's kind of going to be a tough resistance. We could dip first and retest 212. We'll see if that breaks. If it does break, we're looking for that 214 target. For Coinbase, we look a little bit more bullish. If we hold above 164, we're looking for a target of 166, basically 166.5, followed by 169. If we end up losing 159, we could be dipping, but I favor upside a little bit more. For Amazon, we look a little bit more bullish. We managed to break above the 185 resistance. Now I see this potentially going all the way up to the next imbalance. We have this resistance to watch for around 187. If that breaks, we're going up to about 190. We could dip a little bit tomorrow morning to retest 185, but as long as we hold above that, I do think this could be heading for that 190 target. Meta broke out. We broke past 524. Our next resistance is going to be around 527. It is possible we retest 524 before we continue to push higher, and this still looks bullish. I think it could be retesting 527, then eventually trying to break out for 530. So I see potential in this. Microsoft also has potential. We're looking for basically 427 as our resistance. We could dip to retest the break at around 425, then continue higher. But overall, it still remains bullish. If 428 breaks, we're looking for that 430 area. I see potential in that as well. For Google also looks more bullish to me on the 4-hour time frame. I see potential in this. We have support to watch for at this 153 area. Our resistance at 157. We could dip a bit and start pushing higher, so we'll look and see if we hit this resistance at 157. If that breaks, this imbalance will fill and start pushing us higher. So I see potential in this. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. Please have a great day. And just note that as far as NIO goes, we are looking a little bit weaker than the market for the time being. It's starting to cool off a little bit. So look for an attempt to push tomorrow morning before it continues to dip. And I think we could get closer to this next imbalance below, very close to that $5 area before we try to bounce. So that's what I'm saying for the time being. There could be a little bit of a turn temporarily for NIO, and we'll see how things develop from here. With that being said, I thank you for listening. Please have a great day. I'll see you guys very soon in not a couple of hours, but by tomorrow, I'll be back to give you guys another update. Until then, take care and peace out.